Good evening and welcome to Australian Transformers Weekly. We are bringing you Transformers news from around the world with a couple of Australian accents. I don't know. I think the Australianism has sort of dropped off a little bit on the podcast lately. Mate, we should try to throw in a few cobbers and maybe some stingray stings here and there. This is episode 228. We are recording live on, that was a terrible joke, sorry, Friday, February 26th, 2021.
It's part of the course.
Yeah, it is. In this episode, we'll be talking about Hasbro's Investor Day, revealing a few interesting news stories. That's news hot off the press for today. New Masterpiece figure news, and one of us, I wonder who, has touched Unicron. All that and more is coming up this week on this week's episode of Australian Transformers Weekly. There we go. Welcome to the show. I'm Jason. Joining me this week, we have the faceless man who refuses to show his face on television because he's a dentist, Tony Kim, joining me from probably the next suburb over. To be honest, I wouldn't know. How are you doing, Tony?
Hello. How are we all?
I'm doing all right.
It's good. Now, we can't let this podcast continue without commenting about the mood lighting behind you there, Jace, because it does look very seductive, I should say, for lack of a better word.
I have to say that if a red light looks seductive, that might be a problem. Yeah.
Well, they don't call it red light district for a reason, right? That's that's the term.
Well, I have less of a district and more of a room. So,
good to be here.
I think that is probably enough of that. How's your week been? What's been happening?
Well, like I said last week, I've been struggling every time I walk past my local Kmart and Target, and I've been doing some acquisitions that I actually just genuinely didn't need, and even braving the rain to do that in good old Sydney, Jace.
It hasn't rained that much this week.
Yeah, but it's been raining. It's enough. It's more than what it was before, and
it's a non-zero number, but it's not too bad. Anyway, Max, how's it been over in Adelaide? Has it been raining over in Adelaide?
It's been a mixed bag. It's just been Adelaide, really. Yep, but there's nothing to speak of. I've been existing.
That's. Is that news? I don't know. Fair enough. It sounds like one of us has had a far more exciting week than the others. By which I mean me, which is ironic because I've had a very quiet last couple of months. But I got to play with and touch and half transform, but we didn't actually transform him last night. Unicron, the HasLabs release. It's been
exciting.
Yeah, it's been in my house this week, and it's gone at the moment because it was someone else's Unicron. I'm getting one this week. We will have it on display at Oz Comic Con, which is actually next weekend. We'll be demonstrating at Oz Comic Con at Sydney Olympic Park and Sydney Showgrounds. So if you're listening to the podcast, come along and have a look. You can get yourself a happy snap taken with Unicron, or we will have a Matrix there as well, and we'll have some friendly faces on the stand for you to come and talk to. There'll be some figures to see as well, and in fact, I don't actually. We'll announce a figure for raffle next week in the podcast because I don't actually have photographs of him here right now. I've been sort of just trying to rally a few troops and get things ready for Oz Comic Con. It's been a while since we've attended a convention, so I'm a little bit rusty at this, but yeah. And then last night, I spent a few hours in the studio at Toy Reel with HasLabs Unicron. We did an unboxing video of him, so at least when mine arrives, I know what to expect. We got him out of the box, got him up on his stand, and that, my goodness, the stand is a thing of beauty in that box. It is massive, and it's pretty much the central thing in that display. You definitely need it. You can actually put the figure in planet mode on the stand, and you can actually transform him without taking the stand. That's pretty. I think it's quite interesting.
So-
I mean, you don't have to sort of like put things down or lie things down where things might break or anything. It's pretty impressive.
So Jace, he's boxed as the planet, or is he boxed as the robot?
He's boxed as the planet, but
Okay.
the rings are sort of split into, I think, 6 pieces, and so you have to assemble the 6 pieces and then put the rings together and join them onto
Got
the
it.
main body.
And
So, yeah.
initial thoughts about the size when it came out of the box. What was going through your mind as it sort of came out?
Goodness me, it's impressive.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to try to pull this up, and I think the quickest way to the quickest place to find this photo is gonna be by bringing it up off my Twitter account. But yeah, there we go. So if I do this and I put this over here, I've got a half a screen share ready to go. So if I bring this in and go, give me that layout there. No, that's the wrong layout. I want this layout here. There we go. That
Look at
is
these guys.
that's the group of us from Toy Reel. Long-time viewers of the podcast will recognise Mr. Mikey Siciliano on the left there, who has grown an unconvincing moustache, and that's and he's not here to defend himself, so that's okay. That's myself on the right with Clinton Hahn, and on the far left is Michael Crick, who's the camera operator for Toy Reel. So they actually have a studio that's about 3 blocks from me. So like, if I wanted to unboxing and some nice photos of things, then I'll be going in there now. And of course, you can see the Chaos Bringer dead center on the in the middle with the. On the stand, as I said, the stand is extremely impressive, and just down below you can see the head, because apparently you can't attach the head in planet mode, so it just has to sort of sit on display. And then there's the Ark, and then there's the Galvatron and the Hot Rod figures as well. So yeah, he's been. It was a pretty fun night. It was a little bit harrowing trying to figure out how to get the fucking thing onto the stand in the first place. Like, the camera is rolling. We've unboxed Unicron. And then we were just like, how do we get it on the stand? I don't know. We needed to sort of stop the camera, look at the instructions, and then figure out that the instructions don't actually tell you how to get it on either. And so there's a point at which there's a YouTube video that shows the guy looking at the instructions, and when he gets to the instructions, he stops and points at the part that just says lower it, and he's like, no. To do this, and there's like open this up, push this flap in, and then lower it down onto it all. So yeah,
It does look amazing.
it is pretty amazing. It's very impressive. That's the wrong layout again. That's the one that I wanted. Yeah, it was good fun. Now Clinton's been transforming his. So this one was Mikey's. There's a second one in the background that we didn't show you in the video, and that's Clinton's. So Clinton has been transforming his today, and is ready to take some awesome photos of the planet mode, the robot mode as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing those, because I haven't seen them yet. And we are putting together a full-on unboxing video with some pretty shots and pans across things. So that will come out in the next few days, I think.
Yeah, the photo is the way you guys are posed there. It actually looks like you've invented Unicron, and you're now showing off your new invention.
It looks like we've killed him. And like we're like big game hunters, and it's like, yeah, we killed us a planet.
Yeah, and then you can put his head up on the wall because it's easily separable from the rest of the body.
If you look, it's already mounted. So right. It's okay. Yeah, Unicron comes with a free rhinoplasty lesson. You can figure out how to wall mount the head. It's all okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so enough of Unicron. When I say enough, I've just accidentally made it full screen. So fair enough. I think it's probably about time that we talk about some news. What do you guys think?
Yes, please.
All right. To do that, I need to work out how to remove that from the screen and then go back to the screen share. Right, first item up this week for news. We have a new Generation Select figure was announced, and he's a deep cut into Beast Wars history. He's, actually she. She is Transmutate, a reference to a character from a single episode of the Beast Wars cartoon when a new character was born from a damaged spark, and was very, very trusting and childlike, but with a very, very dangerous sonic scream that could deactivate any of the robots nearby. Now, in the cartoon, Transmutate befriended both Rampage on the Decepticon side and Silverbolt on the Autobot side, and met an untimely end at the end of the episode. But has gone down in history as one of the more interesting characters in the cartoon. Transmutate couldn't transform and was released eventually as a Builder figure in, I think, 2001. And so there's a lot of people who are Beast Wars fans have the Bath version of Transmutate in their hands. And so the Generation Select version is a repaint. I don't think it's much of a retool. Well, the head is retooled. It's a repaint of Paleotrex, the deluxe figure. And so they've taken the black parts and turned it neon blue or bright aqua, just to make it a little bit more in line with the character's colours in the show. And it kind of works for the character because you can pull apart Paleotrex and sort of attach different parts in different places. So the sort of the core play feature of it being sort of a Builder figure is still there. But I don't personally feel a need to go for this because, as I said, it's a deep cut into Beast Wars history, and it's something I'm not really into. But also,
So ugly.
I just don't really like the fossilizers. I'm sorry. So, however,
it's just hard to look at.
The more I look at it, the more I can see why people who are into the character will go for this. But it's just, it's just not for me. Now,
I say this as not a fan of Beast Wars and not understanding any of the characters or having seen this particular character before, but what the hell is this? What is this? It is so freaky. And
This
you look at
is
the face.
1990s CGI.
Oh
It's
my
just-
God. This is the kind of
think
thing
it
like
was
Tim
supposed to
Burton
be
would
ugly,
love.
in all fairness, but
Okay.
that doesn't make it exactly appealing as
Right.
a figure.
It's like a Nightmare Before Christmas type figure or something like that. It's
well, so
Tim
it
Burton would love
is right because the character's spark was damaged when they were born in the show, and so
Sure.
they are childlike and trusting of everyone, including both Autobot and Decepticon, and then mistrusting of people when they decide that they've been lied to and they've had enough. So, the face design is very, very accurate to the show. So that's the thing that they've changed from Paleotrex, because Paleotrex's original head sculpt was the mace design that we got with Optimus Primal in the Masterpiece range. But the head design for this is much more in line with the character's appearance in the show, and by sort of swapping the black color scheme from Paleotrex for the bright blue, it does sort of call to mind some of the aspects of the character in the show. It is just
it's another reason. It's another reason not to watch Beast Wars for me. Then, if that's the case.
It is but one episode of the show. I will point out.
Well, yeah, fair enough. But if this is indicative
It's
of the
okay.
quality,
You weren't going to watch it anyway.
correct. That's right. Question though: how popular was the character though, Jace, for one episode that they justified getting a single Generation Selects character?
So I'll tell you when this was rumored. So
Yeah.
I run like group buys and freight forwarding operations for
Yeah.
TCCA members. When this was rumored, people just started throwing their names onto a list. Like they just wanted the figure. When it was
Really?
rumored, nobody knew what it was going to be. I think someone joked that it would be a repaint of a fossilizer. turns out they were right if that was a joke.
Well, you think
So-
about this. You think about how many weird little once-off like animation error from G1 figures there are.
True.
Right, like if there's a market for that sort of thing, there's going to be a market for this from Beast Wars.
It's true, and
Yep.
you gotta realize also like there's actually a massive undercurrent of Beast Wars fans in the Transformers fandom, and I genuinely don't encounter it because I've from whatever means I've surrounded myself with people who are just really into G1 or the more modern reimaginings and stuff, and we're all pretty forgiving of when the franchise reboots and reimagines itself. But there are definitely fans who were kids in the 90s, and they, Beast Wars is their G1. So anything that references anything from a memorable episode of that show, they're there for. I've started asking a couple of retailers around Asia if they're going to be doing it, and can I buy a shitload of them? And they've just gone, how many do you need? I ordered a lot. So like, there's definitely demand out there for the character. The retailers know that there's going to be demand for it as well, and unfortunately, I feel like we're in the minority and that we're not particularly interested.
I'm kind of okay with that. In keeping
I'm okay with that.
positive-
I'm okay with that as well.
Yeah, but in keeping positive, the one thing I will say about this, there is a description on the screen here that the listeners can't see, but it refers to, though transmutate cannot convert in the show, this figure converts from robot to beast mode in 32 steps. So someone's done the engineering, right? As in getting paleo tricks and trying to link it to, the figure of transmutate, but actually done the hard work to actually link those two together and make this a sellable toy. So I will say that is a positive thing. I think that's quite interesting that they did that.
I think it's just someone in the marketing department sitting down and writing it. But yeah. So anyway, Generation Select. I was going to say Gen Select's Paleotrix. Gen Select's Transmutate is due for release around July, August, depending on who you talk to. I think it will turn up in Hong Kong, maybe around May, June, because things seem to come to Hong Kong a little bit ahead of their Western release. It is up for pre-order at EB Games for $40 because it is a deluxe figure. So that's about the going rate for a Gen Selects Deluxe. It is only the second Gen Selects figure that we've seen announced for this year, and there's a good few months between Deep Cover, which we talked about last week, having just arrived, and August. So I feel like there might be a couple more Gen Selects figures that will come out and fill that gap in the meantime. That maybe they're just not ready to talk about yet. We are due some toy reveals, I think, because Toy Fair would have been on this weekend, but because it got cancelled because of COVID, like everything else, Toy Fair itself is happening later in the year now, but the reveals that Hasbro would be doing around this time, they've got to go somewhere, and so Hasbro's been doing a few Fan First Friday events the last few weeks. Thought there'd be a Transformers one this weekend, but there's not, so maybe there'll be something next week. We might hear something about upcoming Kingdom releases or the next wave of Studio Series 86. We're due to hear about all of these things.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, indeed. Let's move on. Some other figure news that came out this week. There is a brand new Masterpiece Optimus Prime out there. At least it's coming. It's not out there yet. So MPM 12 was officially announced this week. In fact, it was just last night. He is a Masterpiece representation of Optimus Prime from the Bumblebee movie. Sort of. He does look like he does look more like the Masterpiece Bumblebee, more like Bumblebee Prime than he doesn't. But there's also quite a lot of detail in this figure that wasn't in the character on screen, and he also doesn't actually transform into the same vehicle mode. So it is attracting a bit of criticism around the scene. He does, as you can see, he does have a matrix. It's a bit of a blocky matrix, unlike any matrix that we've seen in the past. They usually have a fairly nice curve on them. I gotta say, like, the more I look at this figure, the more I like it for the detail that's present on it. And there's a lot of different colours on different surfaces, but I also honestly feel that, like, Bumblebee came out in was it 2017 or was it 2018?
18, I think it was. Yeah.
Bumblebee came out in 2018. It's now 2021. They're not going to revisit that look of Optimus Prime. Like, there's Doug having to say. See, Doug agrees with me. They're not going to revisit this look of Optimus Prime. See, and so why keep going back? Why keep going back to the well? Like, they had a really well received Studio Series figure, and it's now been a good couple of years since that figure came out as well. And now we've got a Masterpiece version of that figure, but that's going to be a one-off. It's not really going to appear again in the movies.
Yeah, I mean, you could make the argument the same thing for the Studio Series figures that, were linked to some of the Bay, linked to the Bay movies that, they came out years and years ago, but we're still getting drip-fed a couple of those as well. But just on this figure, Jace, I'm really struggling with this. Part of me really wants to like it because it's got all the basics.
I want to like it as well. But
yeah.
I got to be honest, I want to like it more than I do.
Correct. That's exactly how I feel. And then so I'm looking at that initial photo that you showed of the in robot mode, and go back one. Oh, back another one. Sorry. Yeah. And so you look at this. Yeah, this one here. There is something a little off about this figure, and I was trying to put my finger on it. And I thought, if you look at the helmet, right, the ears, they're very elongated, almost like Batman style. Batman style ears
I'm
on
Optimus
Optimus.
Prime.
Where is he? And then
I'm Prime Man.
But then, you look at the exhaust pipes, right? And they got that silly sort of bend in them as well. So it's almost like they've tried to take a more artistic approach to designing this figure, which is, I guess, it's fine, right? But it's one step too far from what I think Prime should be. But also, it looks nothing like the Prime that's in the actual movie that this figure is meant to be based on. So you've deviated too far.
It's not that he looks nothing like him, but it's just it deviates from it.
Well, the thing
far.
is, it deviates in weird little ways in which I don't think it needs to.
Exactly.
You know, stuff like having these giant forearms where, you know, you can see in-depth processes going on in the transformation across the rest of the figure, but the forearms just aren't transforming at all. Or you can see the knees are wildly out of position, whereas the proportions on the rest of the figure look pretty good. You know, the fact that they've got all this colouring and detail in certain areas, but then the actual palettes of the blues and the reds are just way off from the movie itself. It's like they've got this potential here. You know, they obviously know what they're doing, but there's just enough little things here and there that throw off the entire product.
Yes. Spot on. That's exactly how I feel. And then even when you look at the alt mode and how boxy that actually looks, it's like some kid has just drawn. It's like someone said to the kid, "Hey, draw a picture of what you think Optimus Prime should look like, and then we'll make a toy out of it, like a Build-A-Bear. Let's build a Prime." That's what this is. It's like, and he's just drawn a lot of squares, very angular, and he's bent the little the exhaust pipes because, you know, he didn't have an eraser and he was just colouring in.
The exhaust pipes are bent because he's going really fast.
There you go. But it just looks so boxy in the alt mode too. So that's, you know, echoing what Max was saying. There's just still something missing from this that's just not quite right.
Yeah, it's close, but it's not quite right.
Yeah.
Look, I got to be honest. As we're sort of flashing up some of the photos on screen, like, I like it more and more, but I don't think I can bring myself to buy it.
Yeah, like there's no way I'm spending money on it because there's better options.
Yeah.
You can respect
we'll talk about that in a minute, but there's so much happening in the leg apparatus. And the blue that makes up the character's robot mode legs, like there's so many details and surfaces on there, and it's sort of there's enough detail on that like it doesn't really go away in alt mode either. Like you can still see a bunch of polygons sitting on his on his legs behind the cab there. So it's not especially well disguised. I don't think that detail was there on the on-screen model, but we couldn't tell because there was a trailer at this point, which does bring us to the same old question: where's the trailer? People have freaked out at being asked to pay $79 for a G1 Optimus cab with no trailer. Where's the trailer for this one? And everyone's just looking at it, just going, "No, the robot mode's a bit off." Blah blah. No, where's the trailer? No, really.
Correct. Great question. You know, in the interest of staying positive again on this, the one thing I noticed about it, I don't know if you've got it on here, Jace, but the price for this thing, I think it was around 800 Hong Kong dollars, which is roughly 130.
Yeah, $120, $130, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So from a price perspective, if you do want this, in my opinion, hunk of junk, you know, it's a relatively cheaper masterpiece option, I guess, if you're interested. So the price is a good thing.
As Max started saying, they cut him off before. Sorry, like if you want a Bumblebee Optimus Prime, you've been well served for options over the years, and you kind of don't need this, because if you want a Bumblebee Prime, you probably already have one, and there are better third-party options than what Hasbro's served up in this MPM figure. So I struggle to think, who is this going for? I mean, like, there's going to be tons of people who'll buy it because it's a movie masterpiece, but it's not for me.
Yeah, who do you guys think?
Well, I say this as someone who actually has SS38 up on the shelf as well, right? Like, I was looking forward to this when it was rumoured a couple of weeks ago. I thought, wow, that's going to be great. I can upgrade that SS38 because there's a couple of things that bug me about it. Nah, it stays up there, and I'm basically just going to ignore the rest of the Bumblebee characters anyway.
Because I'm sitting here wondering, who is the target market for this figure? Is it fans of the Bumblebee movie? Because if it is, you're not getting an accurate representation of what Prime looked like there. Is it just Masterpiece fans looking for, I don't know, something a little quirky? Then okay, probably. But I would imagine that's a bit of a subset of the main Transformers collecting group. But I might be completely wrong. But Max, I'm just wondering, because the last time you were on the podcast, you had a massive third-party Prime that was on your shelf. I mean, how would that sort of compare to what's on the screen here, do you think?
Honestly, I'll pull out the shelf just now. I reckon it's better. Yeah, I just think it's better.
Yeah, right.
Fair enough too.
Maybe I know Hasbro does have a habit of doing shit out stock photography, right? And often they sort of they let their engineers down in that regard because often there's some really good stuff coming out and they don't know how to show it. So I'll reserve final judgment until we start to get in-hand picks. But from what I can see of what they've put out, there's no comparison.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen many of the other third-party options for Bumblebee Prime in person. But honestly, I've seen the Toy one in person, and just looking at images of the others as well, I don't think the official Masterpiece holds a candle to any of them. It's just, there's no comparison.
Yeah, I instantly like yours a lot more just seeing it on screen.
You can see what I mean about the colours.
What is the figure that you're holding there?
This is the Wei Zhang version. So this is like the people say it's a knockoff, but I don't actually think it is. Like, there's maybe some shared parts, but it feels very.
I think it's generally classed as an oversized KO.
Yeah, there's just bugger all actual shared parts in this.
Yeah, he looks awesome.
But yeah, like this is just one example though. You go to the Toy World or even one of the more simplistic ones like AOE Mech or something. Actually, maybe not that much, but the other options out there, just it just absolutely dwarf what the Masterpiece has done. And I think it's a shame because it's a really good design. So you kind of want to see it be done justice.
Correct.
Yeah, I do want to see it be done justice, but I don't think this is it. But also, as time goes on, I don't really care as much for. I don't really care as much for what's going to happen to the Bumblebee Prime design. We do have a question from the chat, from the comments. Billy Ho has asked, was there an MPM figure that you were hoping for instead of Prime? No is the answer from me. It was pretty obvious that this was going to be Prime because it leaked a couple of weeks ago. So yeah,
there's only one answer to this question, Jace, and that is Jazz.
Yeah,
Jazz.
I would have taken.
They've just released a movie masterpiece, Jazz.
Oh, the movie master. Oh, sorry. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I would have taken any other character from the movie.
You would have liked Shatter or Dropkick as well.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously transformation is a bit hard, which is why we haven't seen too much in the way of toys for those. But even just do what the deluxes did, and have just have them with one alt mode and fudge it out. I don't think anyone's going to really complain.
I guess doing. Yeah, I'm not that into Blitzwing because he's only had 5 minutes of screen time, right? So I don't want a masterpiece figure of that. But Shatter and Dropkick would be a problem, I think, because Takara's really avoided doing triple changes for masterpieces. So bringing in either of those two, like you said, you sort of have to do what the deluxes do and pick one alt mode, or try and do your first triple changer. All right, let's move on. This is not the only Masterpiece news that we have this week. We have heard that there is a Masterpiece version of Skids coming, and we do actually finally have some prototype images of him. Now, this came out because of I'm just gonna scroll my page up there to avoid that person's animated avatar. That's really annoying me. We've seen the wireframes a while back. I think Transformers PR Twitter account tweeted them out on January 1st, saying, "Hey, this is coming this year." And so here we are, a couple of months later, and we've got some grey prototype images. Now, Skids is looking very much like an older style Masterpiece. There's less of the cartoon accuracy on here, and dare I say, there's a little bit more real world accuracy, and it's possibly because this release of this figure is being looked upon very closely by Honda, because the Skids alt mode is actually a Honda City Turbo, and it's actually an anniversary year for that vehicle. So Honda is actually the ones who tweeted out these images, not Takara. And they said, "Yeah, look what we're doing with Takara for the anniversary of the City Turbo." So if we go and look at the alt mode there, it's a really nice, it's a really realistic looking alt mode. I mean, it's still a prototype, so it's clearly held together by glue and sticky tape. But yeah, I'm actually really a lot more interested in this figure now than I thought I was going to be. What do you guys think of it, Max? Are you into Masterpiece Skids?
Oh, I feel like I shouldn't be spending money on Masterpieces at the moment, but he looks really good. Yeah, just think about everything I said about that Prime and just the opposite of that. Yeah, I really like the look of this. It feels, I don't know, it feels like it's not overdoing things so far. Like,
yeah, it feels pretty restrained.
I'm not against overdoing things, because like when Masterpiece takes risks, they generally nail it. But I don't know, there's something quite appealing about just this very muted look to the figure. Or it's like, yeah, it's not over top. It's like, it's just, yeah, here's Skids. There you go.
Tony.
I like it. I like the design of it. I like how there's clearly a lot of detail you can see in this mold, right, that they've put into the thing. And it's also because it's quite an obscure character that I think, only appeared in like 2 episodes tops of the original cartoon. But in the previous photo there, Jace, in his alt mode, I've forgotten how daggy his car mode.
It is a daggy car, isn't it?
This is a soccer mum car, right? As she's driving the kids to soccer, dropping them off, and then it's a Tarago type vehicle, and then she's going to go and get a latte or something, in the eastern suburbs. So that's what she's going to do, and she's going to use Skids to do it. So
is Skids actually the best disguise for a robot in disguise that we've seen? We've seen fucking F1 cars, we've seen UFOs, we've seen tractor trailers, we've seen VWs, but isn't this like the most inconspicuous Transformer ever?
It is the people mover. That's right.
Yeah,
that makes perfect sense.
The people mover that is not moving people because he's a giant robot. He's too busy moving robots and fighting bad robots to move people.
Yeah. I do love the robot mode though. After having taken the piss out of the car mode, it does look quite nice.
He does look great. I'm looking forward to him. I will be ordering this when he gets officially announced. So,
is he going back to my previous mistake about not having a Masterpiece movie Jazz? There is definitely not a Masterpiece Jazz, and I think some of the commentary that came out when this was originally announced for Skids was that how can we get a Skids first and not have a Jazz before that? Because I think a lot of people obviously have a good Masterpiece collection of G1 Season 1, and Skids doesn't really kind of fit the mold in that regard.
Yeah, no, it's true, and I mean the answer has always been that it's about licensing, right? They need to license that alt mode. Although, given that they've just released a fairly G1 accurate Jazz without a license in the Studio Series 86 line, one does wonder if that might leave the door open for them to do something similar in Masterpiece.
Yeah, I was wondering how they got away with SS86 because it's so close to a Porsche.
But
Yeah.
that's the thing. That's the way that copyright works, right? Like all they need is a couple of things that are different, and that's all they've ever needed.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, let's move on. There's a couple of quick stories that we're going to go through before we start talking about the movie and TV series news, and then we'll probably have to call it a night. First of all, there does appear to be vintage Beast Wars figures looking for a reissue this year. These things have shown up in the Walmart computer system in the US, and they've got a code of Tragen, which is Transformers Generations, BW for Beast Wars. Now, the War for Cybertron trilogy has been WFC S, E, or K. That's not present in either of these codes. It's Tragen BW, Beast Wars Vintage Optimus Primal, Vintage T-Rex Megatron, Vintage Rat Trap, and Vintage Cheetor. Now, these are not cheap figures either. Optimus and Megatron are both $50 each, and so it seems likely that these are not going to be reissues of their Kingdom toys because they are different size classes in Kingdom, so the $50 price point wouldn't make much sense for both of them. That means it's got to be something else, which I feel like they might hope to do maybe a release of the sort of the lesser known mold, or maybe one of the Transmetals or something like that, because I feel it's kind of weird to release a modern Optimus Primal in the first half of the year and then release the vintage one as you get sort of later in the year. Like, why did I just buy your modern update if you're just going to re-release and give me the nostalgia hit of the original toy coming out? So I think there'll be something about these. We have seen Walmart do a lot of G1 reissues over the last 4 or 5 years, and so it's nice to see them turn their attention to something else that's having an anniversary year. The Walmart reissues have come out in various territories around the world, and they are starting to come out here. They're not really Walmart reissues anymore. Some of them are turning up at Kmart, but obviously it might be a while before these turn up here. We'll see how they go.
This is essentially I was going to say, this is essentially their equivalent of the G1 reissues, right? You know how we got Soundwave and Blaster and those guys. So I think there'll definitely be a market for it. If the G1 reissues are any indication about how quickly nostalgia can help you sell a product.
I think so. Yeah. So Max, are you interested in vintage Beast Wars?
I have not watched Beast Wars.
No,
another one.
Obviously, this is right on my alley. No,
this is kind of a Beast-centric episode of the podcast, but none of us are particularly Beast Wars fans.
Drastically unqualified to talk about this sort of stuff.
Come and join the club, mate.
So it might be a
we
light
need Brad
year.
and Bradley. Yeah,
it might be a light year for purchases for some of us when it comes to these reissues and stuff, but that's fine. So, the great thing about Transformers is that if you're not into what's been released now, just give it 6 months and see what comes out. So, yeah. All right, let's move on. One other small tidbit, and I think this is mainly a correction because I think we ran with this story earlier in the year. Kingdom has been given a release month of Netflix by Netflix of July 2021. It had been previously reported because someone updated a wiki page which generated a news headline which was then referenced by the wiki page that it was going to come out on the 26th of May. Would have been very happy for that because that's my birthday. But Netflix has decided to take my birthday present away, and they will be releasing my birthday present in the wrong month of July. So we don't quite know when in July, but as we get closer to July, I'm sure they will release they'll give us an update. So
you know what I was really hoping this article would be, Jace. I was really hoping this article would be. It would be that Netflix has decided to sack the existing voice cast of Kingdom and replace them with Peter Cullen and Frank Welker. That would be amazing.
Peter Cullen and Frank Welker can just do all the voices.
Yeah, exactly. Do everything.
Yeah. It's becoming a 2-man production. It will kill both of them, but yeah.
It'd be worth it.
No, it won't.
It would be worth it for the dross that we're going to see when Kingdom comes out. Jesus.
Yeah, when Kingdom comes. There we go. All right, we're going to move on. There's a bit of Transformers movie news that's come out of Hasbro's investor call today, which they have confirmed a couple of things. One, the producer who won't die, Lorenzo Di Bonaventura, is returning for whatever comes next in the movie franchise.
Just stop talking. Fuck me. Like,
So I won't shut up.
Think about over the past few years since the last night, right?
Yeah.
How many different things has this bloke said about what the future of a franchise is going to be?
Mate,
Oh, do you remember when he talked about
It's like
the writer's room? We're going to be
Yeah.
the writer's room. It's going to be huge.
Yeah, there's a Beast Wars movie. Oh, it's
We've
going to
got-
be an animated prequel. Oh, it's going to be.
We've got binders full of writers.
It's just.
This guy won't shut up, will he? It's crazy.
So in the news of today, he hasn't said anything. But Hasbro has announced that they do have 2 feature films or feature-length films that might not be cinema releases ready to go at the same time. So the one that we know about is the director is Stephen Caple Jr. And that will be a fresh vision that will launch a new trajectory for the franchise. We have a bit more of a rumour about that one that we'll talk about in a minute. The other one we don't know too much about. It's a feature-length film that will be animated, and it's directed by Josh Cooley, who directed Toy Story 4, which was a better received a better Toy Story sequel than it had any right to be. It was great. So yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested more in the animated version than the live action one, to be honest. But let's talk a little bit about the live action one, because there's a big rumor that came out a week or two ago called Transformers Beast Alliance, which apparently says it takes place in the Bumblebee timeline, so maybe that Prime will be back. Will be set in the 1990s. The film will have a flavour of a heist film, which is a little bit confusing for me, that will span from Brooklyn to South America. Well,
Now, you're sure they didn't get the synopsis mixed up with the next Fast and the Furious film?
I was going to suggest that. It's like they've printed the one sheet out, and it's got the first line, and then it's accidentally printed the synopsis from a different movie, and someone's just gone yep and read it on.
Yeah.
It's the rumor. So if it's a 1990s set, I like the idea that it might be set in the 90s, because it follows the 80s setting of the Bumblebee movie, and it sort of lets them do sort of a bit of an X-Men thing, where they can sort of have a movie that's set in each era with sort of a major event that happens. But I kind of don't care. I kind of don't care, because on the one hand, I'm going to go see it anyway, regardless of what goes on. So, my opinion really doesn't matter. But on the other hand, I would like it to not be stupid.
Yeah, that's about it, really.
Yeah,
Like it to be
That's
good.
fine.
I'm like, I'll laugh about it now, but in all honesty, I'm taking this news with a grain of salt, because of how many different rumors we've heard over the past few years.
That's true. Remember, it
Once,
is a rumor.
once something starts filming or drops a trailer, then start forming some opinions. For now, there are movies coming out at some time in the future.
Yeah.
That sounds fair. That's probably a good time for a good idea for us to then move on to the next story, because we don't really know too much about the movies, but we will eventually, eh? No one said anything, so I'm going to move on to the next story, which is something else that I would like to sort of throw out as a bit of a question, right? We've been pretty down on the Netflix series, so Siege and Earthrise, the War for Cybertron trilogy that's come out, which does sort of beg the question now. In the investor call today, Hasbro announced that they are working on 2 Transformers animated series. Now, those are animated series featuring Transformers. There's not a revival of Transformers animated, the series that we all know and love, coming, unfortunately. But one series is a BotBots series, and the other is a sort of an unspecified animated comedy series that's coming to... BotBots is going to Netflix, and the comedy series is going to Nickelodeon. is this what you want to see in a Transformers series? And I think I know the answer, but let's go, Tony. Unleash your wrath.
Look, you can just tell by this picture here that the audience they're going for is not the audience that buys the toys. Let's put it that way. Or except in the case of BotBots. But I feel like there's a lot of adults that buy BotBots as well. And Jace, I think you might be guilty of that, right? You're the number one acquirer of BotBots in Australia.
I do have a lot of BotBots. I object to the use of the word guilty, but yes.
But I like the idea, though, that there are these animated properties that are coming out, because it obviously shows that Hasbro are thinking of, that there's still life left in the brand, and that's important because it means that there'll be more toys to come down the pipe. Just looking at these pictures, though, of this BotBot Netflix show, I'm just thinking, you know what? It looks like it could be fun, but it'll just be disposable. It won't be something that I'll need to rewatch. I might check it out.
I think that's kind of all you can really hope for it to be, right? So, if it's going to be something, if it's really going to be aimed at kids, it's not going to be aimed at the adults. It'll be something that the kids might watch again and again, and they might think that this scene here is hilarious and want to watch it again and again. Where it's just sort of like, oh, okay. What we've got on screen, there's two stills. I think there's actually a few that have been released, Actually, this looks like it's a screen cap of possibly an animation that was shown from the Investor Day. The BotBots series is set in a mall where the BotBots accidentally reveal themselves to a security guard in the mall, and then wackiness ensues. And so I sort of appreciate that. I sort of appreciate that there's a realistic background setting. So like they've gone out and they've designed a mall, and then they're doing sort of like hand-drawn animation on top of that, and they're going to have to mix those in. Like, they've definitely not gone out and filmed this in a mall, because if you look at there's a very Cybertronian design to this pizza shop behind us here, and on the drink dispenser that we just saw, there's that design again. Like, there's no labeling of the drinks that come out of the machine, so like there's possibly something going on there, but I like the fact that it looks a little bit more realistic, and it's more realistically lit than you would expect for a cartoon. So it could be interesting. It could be fun. Remember, there's no factions in BotBots either. So like,
it's just anarchy.
it is basically anarchy. And I also wonder if like the first episode of the show is just going to have like Optimus Prime and Megatron just dumping the BotBots in the mall and just like shaking their heads and walking off or something. But yeah, that would be quite funny.
The other description of the actually, have we touched on the description of the other animated show, Jace?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
But I'll bring it up. So Nickelodeon and Entertainment One, that's Hasbro's production company. It says, in the action comedy series, a new species of Transformers, which sounds a lot like BotBots when this came out this morning.
It's exactly what I thought.
A new species of Transformers must find their place and purpose among Autobots, Decepticons, and the human family that adopts them. The 26th episode, oh my god, half-hour series will premiere exclusively on Nickelodeon in the US before rolling out internationally. Is that like how they stuck the word "roll out" in there? It doesn't really give us much. There's a couple of quotes further down the article. It says, "As soon as I read the creative concept, which at its core is about family, I knew we absolutely had to tell this story." So, okay, like this person thinks it's going to be amazing. And it says the new series is a fresh, creative take on the brand, spoken by someone who's not seen the spec for the BotBots cartoon, which will excite longtime fans around the world and soon-to-be fans alike. All being introduced to the robots in disguise by an A-list creative team. Okay, like we'll see how it goes. It's not going to be it's a comedy, right? Like maybe it will actually be fall down funny. Maybe it'll be lovely. Like we'll see. What do you think the new species of Transformers is going to be?
It's just going to be Beast, isn't it? Like,
I don't think it can be Beast.
Because it'd be like, I don't know, it'd turn into like their pet dog or something.
Yeah, so like if it's
because in
that's more
Beast,
animals,
right? Like, yeah, well, like Primal turns into an actual size gorilla. Stuff like that. Like,
yeah, so a human
it'd be
family is not
accurate
going to
for it
adopt
to turn
Optimus
into
Prime.
what? I'm sure if it's like, it's going to be set in America. You just put the setting in Florida. I'm sure someone down there owns a gorilla.
Fair enough. So I'm actually just I'm staggered by the number of episodes.
Yeah, 26 episodes.
That is
half an hour.
That is unheard of. That is unheard of these days. Like, that's a lot of content. I do wonder if it might be split over a couple of seasons. Like, there might be 2 13-episode seasons in there or something. So they haven't really talked about that breakdown or anything. The plot is not really. That's not much of a plot to go on, right? So there's plenty of opportunity for, conflagrations and things going on, but bearing in mind that it is a kids show on Nickelodeon, right? Although, let's be fair, like Nickelodeon doesn't necessarily have just things aimed at kids. Like, they've also done Avatar and The Legend of Korra. So
Adventure Time, which was amazing.
Yeah, that's right. So maybe this is less aimed at kids, and it might generally be full of belly laughs for us. Who knows?
Jace, there's so much wrong
considering
with this
sorry.
No, you go, Max. Sorry, you go.
I was just considering the quality of
Doug agrees.
The last couple of animated shows that we've got have been ostensibly like adult oriented, and unfortunately, they've just been kind of shit. So as much as I'm sure people were looking forward to that direction and wanting the franchise to go that way, just never really stuck the landing. At least in my opinion. I know people differ, but I don't think they've nailed a mature series in the same way that they've made sort of more family oriented series that have worked quite well, and that people have been able to, and have been targeted towards kids, but the older fans have still been able to appreciate. So I'm just thinking maybe this might be the best bet for the time being, just because I don't think the current direction of Transformers animation is really working.
I think that's fair. Maybe they have sort of realized, hey, there's the adult oriented shows sort of not landing, so maybe let's try something else. I'm fine with them trying something else. It either works or it doesn't, and as I said, if you don't like it, then there's another thing for you to watch later on. I actually think it's really interesting seeing major franchises branch out suddenly in such a big way. Like, Star Wars has got multiple series coming in the next couple of years. Star Trek has 3 or 4 projects on the go. In fact, Star Trek's got what? It's got Discovery, it's got Picard, it's got Lower Decks. There's going to be a Section 31 show. There's going to be Strange New Worlds. That's at least 5 Star Trek shows in production at the same time. So if there's, let's say that there's going to be something else adult oriented after, and we'll say adult oriented, even though the War for Cybertron is not very adult oriented. Let's say there'll be something adult oriented after that. So that's 3. It's 4, right? Because Cyberverse is not going away. Cyberverse has 2 new movies coming out this year, and it's possible that they'll bring it back for more after that. Because, frankly, I want to see more Cyberverse. I'm happy for that. So that's, in fact, if we're really counting shows, then let's say that's War for Cybertron. It's BotBots. It's we didn't actually get a name for this one. It's the Nick Show. It's Cyberverse. It's also Rescue Bots Academy as well. So we're up to 5 series, possibly in simultaneous production for Transformers as well. Like, this could actually be a big opportunity to really branch out the franchise. Not to mention the movies that are underway as well.
Yeah, and maybe one of the shows will hit. Like one of this is take the dartboard approach.
I think it's very likely that several of the shows will hit their target market, right? Like,
yes,
this doesn't sound like it's really going to be for us, but you never know. Like, kids watching it on Nickelodeon might love it. Same thing with BotBots. In fact, BotBots is very likely to be hilarious as well. But we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, that is enough news, I think. Suffice to say, there's going to be more about these things coming soon. I'm going to return us to this layout. I'm going to put Tony down there so it looks like he's watching Max and I again. And let's talk about acquisitions. We've got
Righto.
we've got about 5 minutes left for the show, so let's talk about acquisitions. What have we got in our hands on this week, Max?
What do you? Okay. Speaking of the Bumblebee movie and decent figures based upon that, recently picked up 3-0 Soundwave.
That looks
Wow.
amazing. That looks so much better than the Masterpiece Prime.
Yeah, I'll just say right off the bat, buy this thing. It's absolutely incredible. Like, I didn't think they would be able to top their Bumblebee just in terms of creating something that functions as a figure, but it genuinely feels like a piece of art. But they've just hit it at the park.
That's
I have
phenomenal.
no complaints whatsoever. Ravage, I do have a little bit of complaints in that he moves in one direction. Like, there's no lateral movement whatsoever. The legs don't move outwards. The head doesn't turn side to side. Torso doesn't twist at all.
He's saying Ravage is G1 accurate.
Yeah, basically. Ravage is very limited in what he can do. And I wouldn't really have an issue with that because he does transform surprisingly well for like a licensed piece. And the detail is... it's seriously impressive. But I don't know. I feel like Soundwave sets such a high standard. And that standard is reflected across their Bumblebee release as well, that I feel like you could have done something here. You know, considering like the fact that Ravage is ostensibly the only Decepticon who gets named in the movie, I feel like you could have given him a bit more love.
Fair enough. So.
Yeah, Soundwave himself though, it's just out of perfection.
Yeah, so what's one of these guys worth? Because, like, frankly, I'm having
It's
figure
about
lust at the moment.
$300, but
Yeah, that's all right.
so it's the only figure I've bought in the past couple months, really. But I feel very happy with that because, you know, it's not like I'm buying a couple of the Lux figures every month and just chucking them on the shelf, right? This thing,
I feel
you know,
very
it
seen right
sits
now,
in the
but yes,
detail
go
there,
on.
and it feels like it's taken pride of place. It's a display piece, you know.
Yeah.
It's a genuine work of art. You can tell with something like this that there's serious love put into it.
Now, Max, just to clarify, this is a statue that doesn't transform, yeah?
So no, it's not a statue. It's, you know, fully articulated.
Oh,
and everything.
sorry. But it doesn't transform?
It's an action monster.
It's an actual...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
which I don't really mind because
No,
he
it looks
doesn't have an on
fantastic.
mode
It
in
looks
the movie,
fantastic. Yeah.
and it just means
Totally
they've
worth it.
completely nailed those proportions. Like, he
Yeah.
has his real sort of natural flow
Yep.
to the sculpt, where no matter how you pose him, he looks very natural in it, and he just holds in perfect position. Like, this is a big, chunky figure, you know, full of
He's
die-cast
a chunky
metal.
boy, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but like the joints are so tight. Like, they'll put legs like that. He just holds himself up like that. It's really like the build quality here is phenomenal.
Now, he looks very similar in height to the Optimus Prime that you showed before on screen.
Yeah, so he's about a head taller than that one.
Okay.
Which I think scale is probably a bit off. I don't think we saw him stand next to each other in the movie, really. So I don't mind too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's as a standalone piece and as something that goes alongside the Bumblebee and the Prime. Fantastic! Like, it's just brilliant design. You know, I think everyone sort of fell in love with it when we first saw it, and
Yeah.
3-0's captured that perfectly.
Nice. He was the best part of that movie, actually, when he said "Ravage eject." And I think I was the only person in the cinema that let out a little yelp. Like, that's amazing. Like,
Yeah,
that's
like
so good.
I wasn't as over the moon with a G1 scene as some people were, because it wasn't
Right.
as big a part of my childhood, you know. But like
Yeah.
it's still just bloody awesome. And
Yeah.
having a proper representation of that is, it's really worthwhile.
That's a great acquisition.
All right, Jason, talk to us. Have we lost Jason?
No, he's stunned. He must be stunned by how good the.
I was on
Figure
mute because the dog was barking.
Well, Doug was obviously agreeing again.
Yeah. No,
about how great
Doug
his
likes
Yeah,
to
he-
throw a supportive bark in here and there. So Tony, do you have anything to show us this week, acquisition?
Yeah, I do. It's a bit
Oh,
sad though.
sorry.
Yeah, it's a bit sad.
on.
But anyway, look,
Here we go.
Now, you may go, hang on a sec. Didn't you already talk about this? Haven't you already acquired this? And I'd say, actually, yes, I did acquire this, and I've acquired it again because of my addiction. Again, walked past the store, Kmart, saw it there, and I was like, I cannot get it because I've already got one. Went in and got it again. So this is what you're looking at here is a man on the precipice of admitting his addiction to plastic.
I see.
Sure.
You know, like
I respect that.
yeah. Now, I question you guys though. So, do you guys have the right staying power that if you were in that same situation, you could literally
I
just
generally
walk
will
past?
not buy a figure again.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll find something else to buy.
The only time I've done that
but
was for the Legend Shockwave that came out in Combiner Wars.
Right.
And I think I only have the Takara one left now, but I managed to pick up every single color version of that because
Yeah, see, those are slight.
it was Combiner Wars Shockwave. Like,
Yeah, that's a
it was
variation
also
though.
about half the price of this thing.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I don't think I've bought the exact same figure multiple times, no.
Yeah, I don't know why I did it. Yeah, I just felt like I was missing out somehow, or there was some kind of like bargain, but it was exactly the same price as the first one I got. So I don't get it.
I mean, was it a reaction to seeing the $79 G1 Prime with no trailer on the shelf? Like, did you see that and just go, "Fuck that! I'm going to buy the hot rod instead."
So I'm going to get the guy that killed Optimus Prime. That's what I'm going to do.
Just out of spite.
Exactly.
No, you got hot rod, not Megatron.
Nice. So anyway, that's my sad addiction, guys. I don't know why I did this again, but I did it, and it's
enough,
making me
fair
feel
enough.
weird. Yeah.
I'm gonna flash up another Studio Series 86 bot that I acquired this week. There's the big guy Grimlock. He's the first. Where am I going? I'm going to put my mouth over this side because the microphone is down here. This guy is the first big leader bot that we've seen in a long time. In fact, that may not be true because there's been genuine leader-sized bots in Studio Series, but I don't care. Again, we're in Studio Series anyway, so it's the first time I've seen a giant transformer that's bigger than a Voyager and not a Commander class in a really long time. He's a fantastic modern representation of a G1 Grimlock. He's got the big chunky head sculpt and the visor and everything on there. This just screams perfection as far as the being an update and a reimagining of the G1 figure. So he's fantastic. He is a really big chunky boy as well. And in fact, Max, look at that! Like I can do that to this guy as well. Look at that!
What's a third of the price of Soundwave too?
I know. I can turn a figure upside down. I can turn a figure upside down and hold him by his leg, and I don't have to pay so much for that. Tony's got one in alt mode up there for us as well. So thank you very much there. I got to say I haven't actually transformed this one yet. I'm just too impressed with him sitting on the desk in robot mode. I tend to display my transformers in robot mode anyway.
Yeah, there's so much joy to come from this, though, Chase. Like you'll really enjoy it once you get to properly transform this guy. It was so good, and it made me actually forget about the Power of the Primes version that I've got on the shelf somewhere.
I had forgotten about that too until you mentioned it. Why'd you do that?
Now you have to sell it.
Why'd you make me think about that?
No, he's a great toy. So good. And what did you do with Wheelie? Did you put him under the wheel of your car or under your boot or something like that?
He's here
where he
somewhere.
belongs?
No, he fell off something. He's
Completely useless piece of plastic. That guy.
I have to put my screen back up. You can. So what I figured out is that he's got ball joints on his shoulders, so you can pose him like this. Where's my camera? There. You can pose him like this, and it looks like he's doing something with the slingshot, but there's no slingshot on it. So you just have to use your imagination. but yeah, it's dumb. I don't.
Do you know what I found out, Jace? You can actually pull that slingshot out of his little hand.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Oh my god, you can too.
Yeah, there you go. Now
I
you've got
don't
the
know
little
what
Y.
I don't know what I'm going to do with that.
So maybe it's just it's a slingshot with a bunch of plastic attached to it, and the slingshot.
It's just an
adult for Titans Return wheelie.
No, Tony, seriously, you've increased the articulation count of this figure by 50%.
I have. We should take that to Hasbro.
I think someone at Hasbro has just been sitting there all this time just going, no one's discovered the slingshot yet.
So disappointed.
Yeah, and now you've made their day. You've made their day, which might mean that Hasbro might answer that email that I sent them the other day. We'll see.
There you go. This podcast episode was brought to you by the letter Y from Wheelie Slingshot.
Dear. All right, that's about it. We are a little bit over time, so I'm gonna rush through a little bit of club news at the end. As I mentioned earlier in the show, we are attending Oz Comic Con, and while we've been talking about new acquisitions, I have got up the absolutely stunning Netflix Gold Bug that has been customized from Netflix Bumblebee by M's Toy Customs. I'm gonna say friend of the group. He's a lovely person, Michael Fichet in Melbourne. He also is doing a live stream customizing challenge in the coming weeks, so he'll be announcing that. He'll be announcing the details of that soon. And here, without further ado, this is a money can't buy figure. You literally can't buy this figure. You're going to have to enter our raffle to win it. It is a Netflix Gold Bug. He's been painted with limited edition gold tinsel paint, and the head sculpt is actually a resin cast from Generations Goldfire, which has been brought over and placed on a ball joint so that he can replace Bumblebee's head. So Gold Bug looks just astonishingly good. He looks like he would be a Generations Select figure with shiny paint and all sorts of things like that.
That's proper impressive.
He's just as posable as any other Bumblebee figure, and he also is. And also, just look at the shininess of the blue on the legs there. See how that's reflecting like that. Like it's just stunning. I'm in love with this figure, and so he also can transform. That's his alt mode, his VW alt mode. Looks fantastic, and there is a comparison shot of him next to the original in Netflix Bumblebee. So
that gold tinsel color just really pops. If you're listening to this podcast, I encourage you to go and actually look at the video, so you can actually see this thing. It looks amazing.
Yeah, Michael's done such an amazing job customizing the paint job on this figure. He's very, very meticulous with his customs, and like he's left no stone unturned, or no corner or no piece undone when it comes to the paint job on this Bumblebee. It looks fantastic, and you will be able to purchase tickets in a charity raffle that we're going to be running for it. All proceeds from all ticket sales will go straight to the Royal Children's Hospital Foundation in their Good Friday appeal. So we will be running this and drawing it before the end of March. So yeah, keep an eye on the group. We're gonna put ticket sales up soon, and we're also going to try to get ticket sales to go outside of the group and hopefully even go internationally as well, because there's been a little bit of attention from this custom on Twitter from people overseas, rightly so as well. Looks fantastic. So that's coming up soon. We will have him on display at Oz Comic Con next week in Sydney. That's March 6th to 7th. If you'd like to come down to the Sydney Showgrounds, come see us on Saturday or Sunday. There are 3 sessions on Saturday, so it's not a normal convention. You can't just sort of come up and walk around. There's COVID safety measures that have to be undertaken. So there's a morning, there's a lunchtime, and an afternoon session for Oz Comic Con on Saturday, and then there's a morning and lunchtime session on Sunday. So we will have this on the stand. We'll have Unicron on the stand. There's a bunch of things that we're planning. We're not quite sure whether we can do them just yet, but the Netflix Gold Bug will definitely be a highlight of the stand. So, without further ado, I'm going to return us to this layout here, and I think that's the end of the show. Does anyone have anything that they would like to add before we go? Doug does. Okay.
Doug's got something. What's he got?
Doug's got opinions to voice, and he deserves to be heard.
Opinions, but I don't know if you guys can hear more stuff going on in the background there. I'm just going to let him bark for a minute, and then this is going to have to be an unfortunate edit point for Brad. I think comes out. It's going to be just before the end of the show, and by this point, Brad won't have edited this part out anyway. We'll see. All right, I think that's over. So I was going to say thank you for listening, everyone. If you're watching along with the live record, thank you for checking us out. A few people have been watching along. Thank you for donating your time on a Friday night. You can find out more about these stories and more. You'll find links to them at in the show notes posted to the Transformers Weekly Facebook page and the Podbean site. You can get in touch with us in Transformers Collectors Club Australia on Facebook, and there's also there's various ways to get in touch with us on the Facebook page, Australian Transformers Weekly, and the Podbean site, which is transformersweekly.podbean.com. We are a production of Transformers Collectors Club Australia, a registered club in Victoria, run by volunteers who donate their Friday nights and their time and money to make the club better for everyone. Our goal is to connect Transformers fans around the country. We do it by engaging the collecting community and attending things like Oz Comic Con. You can find out more information, including affordable yearly membership options, to show your support at transformerscca.com. That is it for us. So I'm not going to promise that we're going to do an episode next week because I don't quite know the bump in and bump out schedule for Oz Comic Con, but we'll try. We'll see how we go for Friday night, and if nothing happens on Friday night, then we might have to skip a week, or we might try to do something live from the stand. We'll see how we go. But we'll be back with more Transformers news in the fullness of time. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Well
Goodbye.
said.
What do I need to do? I need to press that and then go bam.